let's talk about the Torah a little bit. Okay. We already alluded to this idea before, that the world was created by the word of Hashem. The word of Hashem is what made the entire world into the physical form that we have. We have to go back a little bit. Let's go back all the way to what we could understand or comprehend as the beginning, the way the Hasidic masters teach us. Why was the world created? We find ourselves here in the world and we ask ourselves, why am I here? And what am I doing? Where am I going? They have the story of this person, a rabbi, who was very stuck in his mind, and he was just walking down the block, and he ended up walking into a army base. And as he walked in, the guard just stops him, grabs him by the neck, and asks him, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" And he just shakes up and he looks at the guard and he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, and he just turns around and walks away. And he thinks to himself, who am I and what am I doing here? That's a great question. Who am I? What am I doing on this world? What am I all about? And all those questions are important to answer. We need to know. We need to know to a certain extent as to why is my soul back down here on earth in this physical form, and what's my plan? What am I doing here? So we as humans, we have a thing called will. When I want to do something, I think about wanting to do it, and I go about doing it, okay? So that thought turns into action, and that action actually turns into something physical, into doing something. The same thing with words. We think about words, and we say them. We don't want to be like people who just blurt out everything without will, without thinking beforehand, because we grow up a lot of times, many people, as they grow up, we just have automatic responses to certain things. We have automatic reactions to certain things, and we have to work out our will to do the best thing for us. We can't just go about doing anything that we feel like doing, because by doing these things we might harm ourselves. We can't do the things that we did when we were 13 because we were flexible. We were able to run and move around more, much easier. Right now we have to think about the smartest thing, not just for ourselves, but for the responsibilities we have in this world as well. Who are we going to harm with our choices, with our words? Are we going to win, or are we just going to win momentarily and end up paying for what we said in the future? We have to be very careful with what comes out of our mouth and what our reactions are. That means we have to work out our will. We have to understand our will very well. What do we want of ourselves? What type of person do I want to be? Now, us humans are created b'tselem Elokim. We are created in the image of Hashem, the image of God, which means if God has a will, since God has a will, He created us in His image, we too, as humans, have a will just like Him. Of course, Hashem's will could go and make words into physical matter. Our words, what could they achieve? When we speak something negatively to somebody else, we could affect them. We could change something in their hearts. We can't make anything physical with the words that we say, although technology is moving into a place where you speak and those words are interpreted by machines and those machines execute. And that means technology is moving at the proper pace where we want to understand God in the best way possible. Although technology is hijacked a little bit by the left, and we don't know what their intention is by creating it. Maybe, where you hear reports that they want to block the sun because of global warming, and you start wondering, really, you're going to save the planet? There's a story about Rabbi Akiva Eger, who said, when I was younger, I thought I'm going to change the world. And as I grew up, I was like, I'm just going to change my community. And as he grew up a little bit older, he said, I'm just going to change my family. And at some point in life, he said, I just got to change myself, make myself the best person possible, and that's it. And hopefully, we believe that he did actually achieve that level. But, you want to change the world, you want to make a difference, you got to make sure that the world is ready for that change. The world wants that change to happen, and we can't just come up and just put our agendas down on the table and walk away expecting everybody to accept it. So, Hashem had a will. And that will, as the Hasidic Rebbe's say, his will was to have oineg. His will was to be fully in oineg. And of course, nothing is withheld from Hashem. If he wanted oineg, he could have had it, and he does have it. But he created the world with a will that the people in this world, that everything in creation will turn around and say, I know Hashem. It's not just that I understand Hashem, I know Him. Imala ha'aretz deya es Hashem. I have knowledge of Hashem. Knowledge is something that's physical, something that I could point to, something that I could explain without having to think about it. There are people that have knowledge about certain deep topics just because they've been there for so long and life has proven it to them to be real. Okay? Somebody has gone through a terrible, terrible situation in his family. Someone close to him died. And, right away there are no words. And because in the beginning, the mind is just blank. We can't explain what the heart is feeling. The heart feels terrible at the time, and the mind has no words to explain it. And it takes time until, after the Shiva and after the Shloshim, and by the first year, they get together for a party for the brother or for the family member that died. And at that point, people have the words already. They've already articulated it in their minds. They can already explain everything that happened, and their heart feels validated by the words that their mind puts forth. The thing is, what if this person continues another 5 years into this abyss of depression? He thinks about his brother all the time. Wherever he goes, he remembers. At every moment, when anything goes bad, he thinks about, if only he were here, he would have helped me. If only, if only. And all of these thoughts make his belief in this depression much stronger. People go through different things in their life, and depression goes deeper and deeper as the mind makes more and more sense of it. And not just sense, it proves the depression to the heart. The heart feels, and the mind goes and explains what it's feeling. And the more we stay stuck in our heads, the more this depression becomes real. And it's called a belief system. And the same thing is with a good belief system. When we choose to stick in our mind on the belief in Hashem, and we prove it over and over and over until it becomes the way of life. And much like depression, where every time we prove it, we become sad and fall and go down for a while. When we believe in Hashem and we prove it to ourselves throughout our life, every time something good happens, we say, that's Hashem. Every time we have a choice to make, we say, you know what, Hashem is the one guiding me. Every time something bad happens, we say, you know what, it's fine, Hashem has a plan. Every time we prove it to ourselves, every time we affirm this in our minds, we build that belief system stronger and stronger. We are built in this way because Hashem is this way, and we are just like Him. Just like Hashem calls Himself Anochi, I am I, we can call ourselves I. We have that ego in ourselves in order for us to be able to stand up straight and say, yes, I am something, I am worth something. So Hashem has a will in this world that every person in this world should turn around to Hashem and say, no matter what circumstance, no matter what life I go through, I see you, I get you, I understand. And all we got to do is just shake our head, or just see Hashem and say, I get it. I'm not asking any more questions. So Hashem has that will. So He went and created, He had all of these thoughts in His mind and went and slowed it down in time and allowed us to experience it autonomously so that we could feel like we are in charge, and throughout our life learn how to let go of the control of ourselves. We were born with our fists closed, and then when we die, our hands are all open. We are ready to let go and say, it's all in your hands, Hashem. Hashem, please lead us, be our guide, take us home. So with that will of Hashem to go and create every type of life, every type of circumstance, every type of person, and every type of life story, Hashem had to create different scenarios. Every person, you're going to be born to these two people. They're not going to have a good marriage. They're not going to have money. You're going to have bad friends. You're going to be bullied. And, your life situation, how much money you'll have now and how much then. When you have one kid, you'll make more money. When you have 3 kids, you'll make less money. And then when you have 10, you'll be wandering the streets, with different pain and health issues. And there are so many things that we could go through in our life as a pattern. And until we don't realize that this is all the story that Hashem wants you to live, in order for you to come out at the end and say, you know what, Hashem, throughout this entire life, I saw you, I recognized you. Maybe not the whole time, but at the end, I did. I finally turned around and I noticed that you are the real thing. So, in order for this will of Hashem to come down in this world, there has to be things that are unpredictable. Things that are unpredictable. Because if Hashem just goes and writes out a plan for 8 billion people, okay, this is going to be your life, this is going to be your life, and at the end you'll turn around to me, then it's pretty predictable. Then it's like, okay, what are we really doing? So at that point, two forces come into play. One is din, and one is rachamim. Din means facts, emes, truth, and in order for Hashem's plan to work out 100% truly, that means it needs unpredictability, and that's where we have the Yetzer Hara shows up, and the Satan Malach Maves, it's all in the same Yetzer Hara, Satan Malach Maves. Maybe we could get into that, fascinating. And the Malach Maves shows up and he says, okay, in order to make things unpredictable, I don't want any scripts for anybody's life. Or if you want, create a script, but I'm just going to show up at certain points and give him choices on the wrong way. I'll go and make him think or feel differently and see how he acts with his moods and see how he lives. So there are all these unpredictable parts with din. And then Rachman shows up and Rachman says, you know what, I also have unpredictabilities. I have miracles. People would live in nature, and Rachman says, you know what, I care for those people. They're going through a hard time. Let me show them some miracles. Let me give them some good time over here and there, and which will clear up their choices. They'll have choices to make. They'll be like, I just had a miracle. I just had something so special happen to me, so I have no question at all with what to do. From din and rachman, we have a certain balance in this life of where we are. Is it right or is it left? Are we going with the truth, or are we looking for more mercy or comfort when we mess up? Or even when we're living a good life, what are we looking for? Are we looking for din? Are we looking for the rigid life, or are we looking for the calm and relaxed life? And the same thing is, as we take this lesson, this idea, and take it down to the human being, as we go about making any choice in our life, we have a will. We want to go and do something. We want to get married. We want to have kids. We want to go into business. And there are many choices that we have that we need to go about and doing. And at that point, we have that struggle of din and rachman. What is my reason for this? How am I going to go about and making that actual difference in the world? Am I going to go and seek for the truth, and I'm not going to go about doing my will until everything is perfectly written down? And or am I going to go with Rachman, which is I'm going to go into this world and just go with the flow and say, listen, I'm just looking for a good life, and things don't work out that well. Am I going to let go? And we have that struggle in ourselves of how to proceed with anything that we go about doing. Okay. From there we have Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus, the entire list going down, which hopefully we'll be able to get to in upcoming videos. For you to be sitting here right now and watching this video, I know you're on your phone, on your screen, you may be taking away time from somebody else that you're supposed to be giving that time to. And I'm grateful that you're giving me the time, but this is also a choice. You sitting here right now is you deciding how to use your minutes, how to use your time in this world. And in order for a person to be truly autonomous, in order for a person to be truly run by his will, you would have to calculate the entire day and all the people that you're responsible for, and the bills that you have to pay and everything surrounding your life. You would have to make sure that you would have to make sure that you're doing the right thing. Would you have time to go and spend the time right now to sit and listen to me, or to anything else, or spend time that's not so productive? We have to follow the steps of Hashem, and we have to learn from Him in order to grow this world, in order to make this world go round. So now, we said we're going to talk about the Torah. Hashem created the world. He looked at the Torah and said, this is how I want to create it. This is my map, and this is how things are going to be. When Adam HaRishon was created, he understood this. He understood Hashem 100%. He was formed by the hands of Hashem, and he had the nature of the entire world within him. He was able to go to the elephant. He was able to go to the monkey and all these other parts of nature and name them properly based on their nature. How did Adam HaRishon know all this? Only because he was so close to the truth. He was so close to the creation, that he was part of creation, that he understood how things happen. Throughout the generations, people started losing that information. We think that right now we know everything. We know so much. We have so much information within us. But the truth is, no, there is a lot of information in the world, but do we know it? Do we really know it? Do we live with that knowledge? Do we walk around the world with the knowledge of nature and the knowledge of Hashem, the knowledge of Torah in our midst? No, we don't. And that's what happened as we went through the Mabul, and Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, until Hashem said, you had 400 years in Egypt. It's time right now that I give you the Torah, because I don't want you to forget why the world was created. I want you to understand the blueprint of the world and how everything came to be. So learn these words, study them, go through every letter, go through every crown of every letter, like Rabbi Akiva did in Masechtas Menachos, 27 or 28, right? 27b. And he he says, I want you to go through the Torah, understand it, learn it back and forth, create hyperlinks from one word to the next, understand what I'm trying to say when I say this word over here and this word over here that match. Let's connect these two. Let's make something and learn how the world is created, how things are in patterns, and how life keeps on coming back, and there's no dying if there's no life, and there's no life if there's no death. In order for this whole system to come back around. So we have the Torah. The Torah is, and for the first 1,000 years, people would just open the scroll and look into it and say, okay, what do I do now? What do I do then? If somebody came to Beis Din, what do? We open the scroll, look in, and try to understand it. All of these different Din Torahs, all of these different things that we tried understanding were all written down until Rebbe came and put it together in the Mishnah. And once Rebbe put it down in the Mishnah, now we started arguing, what did Rebbe mean? Okay, so there are a couple of ways of understanding the Torah. There are a couple of different paths that we could take through it. We had Reb Meir, we had Reb Yehuda, we had Reb Yossi. Those are like the big figures. You look at them; they understood each pasuk according to their mindset. Their way of thinking was according to this line, and Reb Yehuda was according to this line, a little more lenient, and Reb Yossi was a little bit more commonsensical to be able to go through the entire Torah, understanding it in a proper, down-to-earth way, so you could apply it practically in your life. So. Then came the Gemara explaining everything, and then came Halacha, and then all of that until it trickles down to us. And in our generation, we have so much information from all the literature that we have over the last 1,000 to 3,000 years. That what are we doing here now? Are we just collecting all of these little words from different Svarim and the Rambam and the Ramban and Rashi and Gemara and Nevi'im and the Torah? Do we go back and collect? Or do we base ourselves on all of that and continue the path? Do we go and add our original thoughts? Can our world, the life that we live in, and the circumstances that we are in, can this add to the Torah? Can we see the world in a new light? Of course, there must have been people throughout the generations that have thought the thoughts that we are thinking right now. And did they have the ability to apply it practically? Did they have the ability to pass this message on to so many people? Probably not. But now that we do have that opportunity, we should use that. We should use that will to go and create more in the world. We want the world to wake up. We want the world to have the knowledge of Hashem, not just understand that there is a God. We want to know that there is God in everything in our lives. In everything that we see, everything that we don't see, before, current, and after, Hashem is always here. And that's what we are doing over here. Hopefully we'll be able to get into more conversations about different things regarding the creation of the universe, how we see Hashem through different things of nature based on the psukim that we have, and then based on the literature that we have as a nation. So I wish you all a great time, a great life, and may you find Hashem throughout your day. And all the best. See you next time.